Hi bakers, I'm Sally, and today I'm showing you how to assemble and decorate a layer cake. I know layer cakes can be intimidating, so let me help make this process a little easier for you. I follow the same steps whether I'm making a 2-layer, a 3-layer, or 4-layer cake, or if it's 6 inches or 9 inches. Today I'm working with my 9-inch 3-layer vanilla cake. The first step is to level your cake layers. You want to make sure they're completely cool before you do this. You can use a tool called a cake leveler, but if you don't have one of those, you can use a serrated knife. So I'm just gonna use the serrated knife today. With your serrated knife or cake leveler, going to trim off that domed top. And this is important because you want a nice flat top, which will add stability to the layer cake. With the top you're taking off, you can discard it, you can crumble it up and use it as decoration or garnish around the cake. Now we'll stack the cake with the filling. I have my classic vanilla buttercream here, and I put the bottom layer on a cake turntable. This makes it really easy to apply the frosting around the sides evenly. If you don't have a turntable, just place your bottom cake layer on a cake stand or a serving plate. For the frosting in between each cake layer, no matter how tall the cake is, I add about 3/4 to 1 cup of frosting. And I just usually eyeball it. Make sure I have a nice thick layer on there. And I'm using an offset spatula for this. If you don't have an offset spatula, you can use a regular knife. You can also use a straight spatula too. Spread the frosting over the cake layer and go all the way to the edges. For the second layer, to create a nice flat base for the top layer, I invert it, place it upside down right on top, and make sure it's nice and level and straight. 2 layers down. All right, spread another cup of frosting on top of that. So we'll do the same thing as before. Okay, again, nice and even on top, all the way to the edges, and don't worry if it's starting to spill out the sides, because we'll go around the edges. For the top layer, you can place it right side up for a curved edge, or if you want it perfectly straight and flat on top, place it upside down. I'm going to place it right side up, just like this, for a little bit of a curved edge on top, but everything else is nice and flat. Now we're going to apply what's called a crumb coat. And this is just a very thin layer of frosting around the exterior and top of the cake. And this locks in any loose crumbs and helps add stability to the layer cake. So I'm using about another cup of frosting for that. For the crumb coat, I'm thinning the frosting on top and moving any excess frosting down the sides and working all around those edges to start dropping that frosting. And this is a very, very thin layer of frosting. And once I have enough to work with, I will go around the sides with a bench scraper. And you can see why having a cake turntable makes this easier and quicker. A bench scraper is a really handy tool to have for assembling a layer cake because it makes easy work of smoothing out the sides. I'm going to save this excess frosting and use that for when I'm going to top the cake. Grab my offset spatula again, and I am flattening out those edges. Go around one more time, nice and smooth. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to set the crumb coat for at least 20 minutes and up to an hour. Once your crumb coat has set, you can add a thicker layer of frosting around the sides and on top. I'm going to save a little bit of frosting for piping around the edges, so I'll use as much as I need to for a thicker layer on top and around the sides. And I'm going to use a straight spatula for this. I'm doing the same thing I did when I was adding the crumb coat. I add it all on top, and then I will smooth it around the sides, pushing it over the edge. You can, of course, use your bench scraper again for nice, smooth sides. Okay, that looks good. So since I decorated this cake on the cake turntable, I want to transfer it to a cake stand for serving. To make this easier, I'm going to use a cake lifter and a second set of hands. For a final touch, I'm going to add some piped detail, fresh berries, and mint. You can keep it as simple or go as extravagant as you want. I'm piping a shell border around the top, and I'll also go around the bottom. I'm using a Wilton 1M piping tip. Final garnish, I'll add some fresh berries and mint. You can also add sprinkles or chocolate chips or toasted nuts, whatever your heart desires. And there we have it. I hope this gives you a little more confidence assembling a layer cake. Enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you feel inspired to try a new baking recipe today. Head over to my website for the full written recipe and all of my success tips. You can also ask a question right there on the recipe page, and my team and I will be happy to answer.